deep dive interviews with music gear inventors, builders, creators, and tone chasers. The Gear Gab Podcast with Eric Dahl uncovers the behind-the-scenes stories of the music gear that inspires us. And now, here's your host, Eric Dahl.
The Gear Gab Podcast is coming at you, and I'm so honored to have the CEO and founder of FIR Audio and Audio Riff, and also a drummer, a great musician, and he has other skills too. We're going to discuss during the show. But I've got Bogdan Belonozhko on the show. Bogdan, thanks so much for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you having me on and giving me an opportunity to chat about the gear that we love.
Exactly. It's so much fun. We were talking before we started the show to where you and I had met before the pandemic, probably back in 2019. And I wanted you to kind of talk about how with in-ear monitors, because you and I were discussing this, and certainly I discuss this with a lot of musicians, as I know you do, to where how did this all evolve? Because this is like a family business, and you've got like multiple in-ear monitor businesses under this with the family, but you were originally part of 64 Audio, right?
Yeah. So the I guess going to the roots of how our family got into the business. So we had a family band. This was around 2000 and maybe 8 or 9. We were kind of touring, doing small gigs and stuff. And one of my older brother, Vitali, he owns 64 Audio. He had a set that broke, and back then they were quite expensive, comparatively speaking, to kind of what gear cost back then. So he kind of started to look into how they work, and he tried to repair it himself instead of sending it in and paying big money to like get them remade, basically.
Right.
And for him, it kind of sparked the whole like, hey, I'm gonna kind of fix these myself. And then I think the next set he made from scratch was for his wife, who was a singer in his band. And basically he successfully kind of made it watching like YouTube videos and this. And then it kind of the ball started rolling from there. And
Well, and you got to tell this story too, though, Bogdan, to where you guys were playing all the shows. You were painting houses by day, and then playing gigs and festivals by night. And this is such a Nashville story. When you told me this, I did not know this about you. Knowing you for 7 years, I never knew that you guys were like working day jobs, but then also it allowed you to have the best music gear possible when you were out playing these like little shows and festivals. You guys show up and it's like going, wow, is Deep Purple playing this?
yeah, so we actually did we did contract painting, new homes, remodels, through most of from early 2000s through like 2008 or 9, basically, until this in-ear stuff kind of started to take over the family business. So there was like a family painting business, basically. So yeah, we were painters by day. I remember just like, working all day. We're like got John Mayer on the radio listening, and because he was kind of our favorite artist to look up to as young musicians. He was doing the John Mayer trio back then. That was like really, really cool stuff. So yeah, we were doing that by day and then spending all that money on gear. And in my parents' home, we had like 2 levels, a daylight basement on the lower floor, and the entire floor, basically the whole living room, every space was taken up by music gear. And we actually built like a home studio in there. And of course, our parents were super pissed off because I was the drummer and I was making loud noises. And sometimes we would like play into the night, and my dad's going to sleep. He has to get up at like 6 a.m. and he's coming down yelling like, you guys need to, stop this noise. And that's when we would start recording the quiet parts, past like 10:30 p.m. we would start to do the acoustic stuff. And so that's basically kind of the origins of how our family got into the in-ear stuff. So we were musicians. We loved it. We recorded. We were really, really passionate about all that stuff. So yeah, that's how we got into this industry essentially.
Well, and it explains why, you and your family are so passionate about the in-ear monitors, because being musicians, you get it. And like even at this last year's NAMM show, it's like I stopped in to say hi to you, but you guys were packed the whole time. And then I saw the video to where, Stevie Wonder comes by to get new in-ear monitors from me.
Yes, Stevie Wonder has attended every NAMM show for I think since like 1979 or so, like long, long time. So he's been to every year he attends because he's in LA, so he's not very far. And so in I think it was 2022, if I'm correct on that. He came by. He usually kind of walks the show floor, and I actually met his assistant. His name's Christian, and so we started talking, and he kind of like kind of learned about our company that year and got to know what we do a little bit. So he was like, we're gonna be walking, and we were in like the kind of the loud hall, where it was like basically kind of where the starters would be,
Yeah.
not in the hall A area yet. So like he was like, he actually enters through that like the loudest kind of lowest hall of the whole show, right?
Yeah.
The parking lot's the closest to that show.
Yeah. Cause
To
that was
that
usually,
hall.
it used to be like down in the basement in Hall E.
It's like hall E.
Where my favorite hall, because that's where
So he's like, he's like, we're gonna be walking right by you guys. So he's like, we'll stop by and you we'll take a listen. So he basically called me like 20 minutes before. He's like, hey, we're gonna come through. Are you there? I'm like, yep, come on by. So we sit him down and we put a pair of demos into his ears, and he was really digging it. And I think at one point he played me his track that he recorded that wasn't released yet, and I took a listen to it, and we started chatting very briefly about the track and everything. And basically he was like, I love these. He's like, I want to get me a pair. And I was like, I can do your ear molds right now. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, I got the kit and everything. And it was kind of a nervous like I'm like this can, jokingly, obviously, like, I don't want to turn him into Helen Keller, like, because it's a big responsibility, Stevie Wonder and doing his ear molds. It's like, that's basically, the the most important thing on his body.
well, and also you think about, the quality of Stevie Wonder's hearing and certainly the incredible music and awards and I mean everything. Oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, I'd be scared.
Yeah, so the pressure was huge. I mean, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do his molds, and we did it, and then we made him a set of Xenons, and he actually used them in the studio to record and stuff. So it was a great way to sort of introduce our product to him at that NAMM show. And then the video reel that we posted like earlier this year
Yeah.
was actually the second time that I molded him, because he was like, hey, it's been a few years, and he's like, my fit's getting low, and I'm like, well, let's redo the molds. And so that was the reel that you saw that you mentioned.
Right. Well,
So yeah.
because also you can tell the camaraderie between you and Stevie Wonder while you were doing it to where it's like, and I think I'm sure that Stevie also appreciates, you being a musician and, and with the products you're making. And I want to digress a little bit. So when you, broke away from 64 audio and launched FIR Audio, FIR, how did you come up with that name?
Well, FIR actually is for like the fir tree, because I grew up in the Northwest in Washington, Oregon State, and it's got some really beautiful scenery there. Probably the best in the country. And I mean, there is millions of Douglas fir trees, and that's what makes the Northwest unique. Very, very green, very furry, I guess you
Yeah.
would say.
But I mean,
So
I always wondered with that name because it always stands out so much, to where it's like, and I want to talk about this also, Bogdan, to where, with Fur Audio, when you launched this, I mean, what was your vision? When you broke apart, to do launch this company. And I also want you to dig into about, talking, you and I were discussing the Nashville lab that you have now that is handling artists coming, going out on the road or coming off the road. But what was your vision on this? Because whenever I talk about in-ear monitors and I've written articles and I've tested out a number of your in-ear monitors with Fur and with Audio Riff, what was the vision? I mean, what was the goal with this?
yeah, so that I guess this kind of goes back to the story of originally why I broke away from 64, why I left. Um, I'm a very like fast moving, kind of fast paced. Like if we have a problem in the company or a problem with a product, I like to deal with it very, very quickly. Very efficiently. I don't like red tape. I don't like kind of the corporate structure that kind of gets in the way of a lot of like doing things quickly. And 64 at that time in 2018 was sort of already kind of big and known, and it turned into like a corporate atmosphere. And I think that was the biggest thing that was getting in the way of me feeling super comfortable there. And my style started to not fit in with that culture anymore, because I love that like smaller team, being able to crack a joke, have that kind of camaraderie where you're in it together, right? It's not some
Right.
corporate, it's not just a job. You're trying to like conquer the world essentially, that kind of attitude where it's like we're trying to do something no one's ever done before. Like I imagine, the crew that's like trying to get to the moon, you're like doing something incredible, even though it's in ears, right? But it's something that's going to change people's lives. So that's how I always looked at it and approached it. And I feel that that was not being appreciated, and the atmosphere was not something that I could thrive in anymore. So I had to break away. It was kind of a natural thing. My brother Vitaly and I basically butted enough heads where we're like, you know what? He's like, you know what, this is not working. And I was already like, yeah, I mean, we tried and we just can't. So I had a 1 year non-compete. We kind of, parted ways. And that's actually why I had a lot of time to develop these dryers and vacuums, these really incredible, um, probably the only company in our industry that offers such great accessories to in-ears. Actually, 64 was selling one of our vacs because it was so good. And they were like, hey, let's rebrand it and sell it. So we actually manufactured the vac that they sell. So it was a really successful thing we did. So I had a whole year to sort of not be pressured to launch and sell. And I had a lot of time to think and I was kind of like, if I were to do this again, how would I do this? How would I set this up?
Right.
And
And the thing is too, and I got to bring this up to where, and you and I both know this, to where in ears now, particularly for performing artists and recording artists, and I mean, and everybody, I mean, most people in some way use in-ear monitors now, and so to me, it's almost like an instrument. It's almost like your drums or your guitar, your bass, your keyboard, or whatever. It's like it's particularly in a music city like Nashville, and I mean so many music cities around the world. Um, it's a tool you have to have. it's just expected. I mean, like even with worship musicians, the first question is, do you have your in-ears? And that's right out of it. It's that they don't ask if you have your instrument, but they know you have your instrument. Do you have in-ears that you can plug in with?
Yeah.
So it's like, so what you ended up creating is something that's like going, okay, you have to have them.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, one of the things that has come about, because there are so many custom in-ears out there, each brand and each company has usually one location, right? Like 64, they're in Vancouver, Washington. That's it. They have no other location. They might have like a sales guy